bars in a raid. Man, I go hard, last stand.
Hello and good evening. It is the evening when we're recording this. If you were watching us over on YouTube, apologies for the slow eyes, little bit possibly slurring in speech. We are recording this at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday evening as Spain and Italy decided not to play ball, took the game to extra time, then they took the game to penalties, and of course we had to enjoy all the fun. But this is your weekly episode of Kop End Fracas, powered by Touchline Media Group, and this episode of Kop End Fracas is proudly sponsored by our partners over at Fanslide. That's right, Fanslide is back empowering your fantasy football experience for this summer's Euros. What on earth is Fanslide, you might be asking? And if you are asking this, I'm going to be very annoyed because that means you've not been listening to parts of the past month. It's really bad. That's bad audience. That's really bad audience. Well, and if you haven't, well, Fanslide is the world's first live and in-play fantasy football game. With no long-term commitment, you can play one-off matches that you'll be watching live anyway, with real-time updates supported by the good people from Opta. You can slide players in and out whenever you think a strong 15 minutes is on the cards and earn those points. But most importantly, get them in on the key moments so you can beat your mates and claim the bragging rights in the group chat. I had Harry Kane as he scores against Ukraine. Unfortunately, I didn't win any money, so it was all kind of for naught. But I'm very happy that I had Harry Kane in whilst he got the points on there. But yeah, it's honestly, Fanslide is such a roller coaster game. It's one of those ones where when you're playing it, obviously in the beginning of the tournament, to kind of spice up a few of the lower matches, it just gave you just that extra boost. And yeah, it's just a fantastic game to play, and just keep doing it going forward from now to the end of the tournament. What you're going to want to do, first and foremost, is you're going to want to go into the Fanslide app and search for Touchline Fracas and add us as a friend for some exciting developments as we increasingly approach the final. So head over to the App Store and download Fanslide today. Fanslide, don't just watch the game, play the game. I'm joined this week by... I'm Krish, by the way, if you don't know. But if you don't know by now, this is just ridiculous. If you don't know who I am by now, it's just absurd. This week, I'm joined by Ellis and Julian to discuss all things LFC. Gents, how are you doing this this weirdly kind of warm but wet Tuesday evening? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just enjoying the football. You know, this the every 2 years I really get the chance to enjoy international football. This tournament's been good, by the way, so I've just been enjoying that. Away from football, been enjoying the playoffs, investing my energy into other sports before Liverpool FC stressed me with their transfer non-activity. But yeah, man, we'll get into it today. But yeah, man, everything's been good so far. Good.
That's what we'd like to hear. Els?
Yeah, man, all is well, bro. All is well. And Julia made a good point. Yeah, the tournament has been actually quality. Even like the group games where you think, this is long, they showed a bit more quality. So yeah, enjoying that, man. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. I can agree with all the points that you guys have made. I think knockout stages in particular have been absolutely fantastic. We've had some giant killings. We've had some like really good success stories. Look at Denmark in particular, and just the quality of football that we.
Even Italy too fun. They're going into this one. I didn't expect a lot from them at all. So to get to the final,
100%, crazy. 100%. I mean, you just look at some of the quality of football that we've seen during this tournament. I mean, tonight in particular, which is absolutely, which is fantastic. So the midfield battles, Spain on the transition were fantastic. Italy really put in the lock and key in the extra time to make sure it went to penalties. But no, man, it was absolutely fantastic. So, the tactical battles, it's just what we like to see. But I think I'm getting to that point now as the tournament runs down. And Liverpool are due for pre-season starting next Tuesday. Kind of getting that urge to get back into club football.
As it's a Liverpool podcast, we've got to shout out Henderson getting his first England goal. We love to see it. Limbs were flying. When you got to love a Henderson goal, man. Like you can't not like celebrate like with all your heart when Henderson scores, because it's like when Henderson scores, it's like he's like, yeah, bruv, like
that's our guy, isn't it?
That's our guy, fam. Every time he scores, I'm always gassed. Every time. No matter, like, yeah, man. Hold tight, Henderson, man. Hopefully you can come back with a European medal and become the first England man to win a Premier League, Champions League, and a European trophy.
Facts.
Big facts. One person who loved Hendo's goal more than himself, it looked like, was Mr. Jude Bellingham. He loved it, man. The gleeful smile on his face and just the general look of relief was it was a sight to behold. And
what are you trying to get into, Krish?
Well, I think Jude Bellingham would like to kind of come and play under Jordan Henderson.
Hey man, I was fan love there. Fan love, bro.
Man, like
Jude,
Jude is really, really like on him, like this boy, yeah, Hendo, my guy.
That's Hendo's YG. That's Hendo's YG. Young around the England, you can just tell Hendo just shows him around like, yeah, this is where we train and that. Man, name is calm. This is my young Jude. Like, look after a minute.
It really looks like one of those weird relationships that you see in your office, where it's like the older white guy. It's just like friends with like just the like weirdest person you could ever imagine, and they just vibe all the time. It's like, okay, cool. I don't understand it, but it looks like it makes sense.
Cool.
Speaking of Jude Bellingham, I us want him to sign for Liverpool. That's one of the things we're going to get into today, and we're going to. We always discuss this in the Kop End group chat, and God knows it's always bloody discussed on the timeline. I think I'm genuinely sick of transfer windows now, because as fans we get riled up to the point where we just end up in these inter-fan skirmishes about what's going on or what's not happening. That it just gets everyone's head just gets kettled and thinking, hang on a minute, what are we actually even arguing about? So we're just going to discuss kind of transfers in general and the current Liverpool model of of buy to sell and just how we operate really. So I'll use Jude Bellingham as an example. Jude Bellingham is someone who will probably be more than likely. Can we all agree he'll be available for purchase? Possibly not next summer, but the summer after. Can we all agree?
I think we can.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Eyes will be on him for sure.
And we can all agree we'd absolutely love him to play for Liverpool. His age, his profile fits exactly what we think should be the next Liverpool central midfielder.
For sure.
Yeah,
100%.
What the most annoying thing is, we can already plan this out. We can fast forward 2 years. Jude Bellingham, he's expected to leave Dortmund this summer. Dortmund are expected to entertain offers of, let's just say, £80 million. And then we'll have something that comes out from random Liverpool journalists. Let's just say, try not to use any friends of the pod. David Lynch, there we go. We've not had him on the pod. It'll come out from David Lynch that Liverpool have no interest in Jude Bellingham at the current price, as it wouldn't fit in the structure. And then we'll all sit there and we'll all kind of have the exact same argument as we're having right now in regards to players such as Jadon Sancho. Why do we always do this to ourselves, Julian? I'm gonna let you kind of lead the conversation off here, because we always kind of get ourselves in a tizzy when these situations pop up.
I think it's because there's that need now, especially us being a bigger club than we were in previous years. There's that need now for that marquee superstar esque signing, and because of how we operate and how FSG spend, I don't think. It just gets people so riled up. Like, I can understand the frustration, because it's like there's always a thing where, in my opinion, especially I'm watching FSG and Liverpool operate in the transfer window, they kind of want the player to come more than they want them, and I think that's proper. Like, it's getting a bit annoying now. Like, for example, if you was to look at all of our marquee signings, Van Dijk, Fabinho. Who else is there? Of course, Salah, Mane, Wijnaldum, Robertson. Okay, but the ones that are a lot of money, they all wanted to come to Liverpool. Even Van Dijk, he had interest from City. He was like, "No, I want to go Liverpool." Like, City could have dropped 100 mil. Liverpool dropped 75, and he was like, "Yeah, cool, we'll get him." But yeah, man, it's just frustrating. Like, it's like it feels like there's no intent from the club themselves to kind of take us to that next level. And I feel like for where we've got to at the moment, it's all well and good. I respect it fully. even though I do know behind the scenes, Klopp never got his first choice signings, that, was able to maximize what seemed to be, underrated and undervalued talent around Europe, bar maybe Fabinho and Thiago. But it's got to a point now where I'm like, we kind of need that next step. This model that we have isn't going to take us to that next step of building, years of, winning trophies consecutively, or trying to, or even competing at the top at the highest level consecutively as well. Maybe I'm wrong, and don't get twisted. We still got a long way to go in the transfer window, so I'm kind of reserving my judgment a bit. But yeah, man, it feels like it's just more like that. That's where the frustration would lie. Just more of the same, waiting and being secret and showing and seemingly showing no intent. So yeah, man.
No, I think that's I generally think that's all fair points, really, when you do think about it, because we've famously labelled this summer for Liverpool the summer of opportunity. When we expect these players, big profile, young players as well, kind of in that 21-24 range, to be available for purchase. And it is very frustrating. And I will definitely use Jadon Sancho as an example, because I think we can all be quite frank and honest. Jadon Sancho going to Manchester United at this current moment of time is a blow, because you just don't want good players going to other football clubs in your own league, if that makes sense. And I think Sancho was one of those players where you saw the ability, you saw the growth to get better. I mean, he's I wouldn't call him a world-class player at the moment, as weird as that sounds. He's a world-class talent, that's for sure, because he can be a world-class player within the next 2 years. And it's really frustrating that Liverpool, when you look at the conversations around the price, what is it, about 72 mil?
Mm-hmm.
The fee. And I think you can throw the wages conversation out at
as well, over 4 years.
Yeah, over 4 years. And I think you can throw the wages conversation out the window for this, because this is Manchester United policy of putting players on massive wages as they've always done. In tongue-tied there, don't know why. But if he came to Liverpool, he probably would go on 150k a week, and it probably wouldn't cause that much disruption to the current wage structure. So it is very annoying when we're seeing these players become available and we're seemingly not even within the conversation. Do you
actually think he wanted to come to Liverpool, though? Because I got to be honest, I felt like Sancho's heart was set on United. He's boys with Rashford. He's lived around the Manchester area, even though he doesn't have ties to City, but he's familiar with the Manchester area. He knows he can get a bigger contract, and he can actually have that guaranteed. I'm going to start. That I'm a starter now, instead of trying to work his way in through Liverpool's front three. So I don't really think was on Sancho's mind, to be honest. And I do think even if Liverpool showed interest, Sancho's agent would have probably been like, nah, he's got his heart set on United. Like, this has been in the works since last summer. Sorry. I got back Liverpool.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. But I think it's always one of those conversations where, okay, cool, they're offering us X amount per week. Can you match this? And we just fly out to say nah, and that ain't gonna happen. Which is fair. Els, I'll come to you. You're you're a person who has trust in the process. Is that trust in the process wavering at any point at the moment? Because you see how the transfer policy has worked in the past few years. Obviously, we picked up really key players for low amounts, and the scouting and due diligence has allowed us to kind of sign these players who become key operational tools. Have you got a little bit of unwavering confidence in the current process at the moment? And if not, why is that?
Yeah, I do, because I believe that Liverpool as a club, we haven't really been a club to buy superstars. It's never really been in our remit. We've played a lot in wages, obviously to the detriment of ourselves. We're paying a lot in wages for average players, but we've never been that club that's going to splash whatever the million for that era was. So if it's like 30 million on Rio Ferdinand or 100 million on whoever. So now FSG have come in and have brought a way where they can get talented players who are, like Julian said, underrated and undercover. But I think where FSG will spend a lot of money is in getting the best manager, getting the best systems, so you can have that how would I say, that yardstick just in front of a team. So, for instance, if Chelsea's going to spend whatever on Haaland, Liverpool believe in what they're doing in the background, that they can get a little bit more from the players that they have. So that's why I kind of trust the process, because I've seen it work and I proper fully understand it. Where I do feel for the fans is where you want a good marquee signing, just to like show that, like again, like Junior said in his point, that you're in the top table, you're in the top dinner spots. Do you know what I'm saying? In the Italian mafia films where everyone comes through the kitchen, and that would be Liverpool that comes through the kitchen. They were the top guys. So I understand that, and there is a argument to say that we should have one of those signings, just especially with the season that we had, where it's been a bit of a mad season. You want a top player, just a top class player that you say, like, look, the boys are back. It's gonna get along for everyone. So I understand the two arguments. I'm just more of I trust the process. I've seen it work, and Liverpool do this thing where they're gonna buy a player between 25 and 27, and he's gonna play for 5 years. Then they're gonna continue that kind of cycle. So I see the pros and cons, but I'm more wavering to the fact that I will trust the system and I'll let it play out.
I think that is fair. I think my counter to that will be, and I'll bring Julian in the conversation here, is the system only works when you've got the personnel there to utilise it properly. And I think we can safely say that Jurgen Klopp utilises the personnel around him to his best possible ability. We can't quite. Let me finish, because I'm about to back up the point that you're going to say here. We can't argue the fact that there are some lapses in that system where you say, okay, we'll use Keita as an example. We can possibly say that he's not been utilised properly. I've realised that I've turned red here on the video. That's because the news is on. So I'll flip that over in a bit. Don't worry about any demons coming in the room. That's fine. But yeah, I think we can kind of safely say that Keita possibly hasn't been utilised properly, or just not been managed properly in terms of his natural abilities to an extent, and potentially the same for Minamino as well. But he will kind of, I won't say he'll bleed an asset dry, but he will get the most he possibly can out of that asset to work within the parameters of the system and perform for the Liverpool team. The only downside of that is when the next manager comes in and he doesn't have the ability to potentially do that. That is when you will see the flaws in the system. And Julian, I'm going to let you take over the conversation from this. In terms of this being a long-term, consistent solution, do you feel that this may kind of start to unravel if and when Jurgen Klopp leaves in the next few years?
Yes and no. Because I feel like regardless, it happens at any big club. Like Barcelona, Man United, you've seen it happen. Arsenal, you've seen it happen. As bad as Wenger ended his era, you've seen it happen. I would say Chelsea, after Mourinho didn't win the Premier League, or they got to the Champions League final, but didn't win a Premier League for a couple of years. It happens. So I haven't thought that far, to be honest. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I haven't thought that far in terms of what after Klopp, but I do feel like I would hope that we've built up that culture where we've picked the right successor to Klopp when he eventually does leave, and we also have players still around that, the Trents, the midfielders, or even Curtis Jones, Jota if he's still here, or even some players that we're going to sign by the time Klopp leaves, that will be senior players that will kind of carry it on. We'll hope for that. But to your point with Klopp, though, with Klopp and FSG and how we've had the right personnel, I also do think with FSG, a lot of their credit needs to go to Klopp. If I'm honest, I feel like Klopp, believe it or not, I feel like Klopp in this whole working under this system has been very, very underappreciated and overlooked. Because I feel like any other manager dealing with FSG, I don't think they do what Klopp does. I don't see. If I'm honest, if Pep was working under FSG and they said we're not getting you Mario Götze, so we're going to get you Sadio Mane instead, I don't see him wanting to stay for too long, and or two, I don't see him getting the best out of the players that we've got personally. The same with like Jorginho, Wijnaldum, especially the way Klopp has used these players, like 30 plus games in the league each season, 50 games for Robertson each season, like Salah 40 plus games, Mane 40 plus games, Firmino 40 plus games, with kind of no with kind of a heavy drop off in terms of backup as well. So yeah, credit to Klopp, but I definitely feel like this FSG model has been enhanced and kind of, there's been put a lot of flowers on it because of Klopp's success and Klopp's ability to manage a team and coach at an elite level.
Yeah, well, don't you think, Julian, that's why they got Klopp? Because they have something and they need the best and they need a manager who they know. Because when they're picking managers, they do go through like how, they scout for players. They do the same thing. They do like, don't forget they got Brendan Rodgers, and Brendan Rodgers excelled at Swansea. So he got the best from average players. So you can see the model already. So then when the club does leave, they're going to look for another manager who does the similar things. And don't forget, he's not really picking what players he wants in the transfer window. They've got a set system for that. Obviously, they all come together and they talk. So
I will say, I think if there is a player the club wants, they'll buy him.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest. I think Klopp has Van Dijk is definitely, but then you got to remember Van Dijk was imperative. He was there was literally both of you now. You can both say that if we put in 90 million for Van Dijk at the time, you wouldn't have batted an eyelid because that 75 mil. To me, even at the time, was light for what I knew Van Dijk was going to be. And I understood why, even though it was frustrating, because remember, Van Dijk was different. Van Dijk wasn't because we didn't want him and we didn't show intent. It was because Southampton were kind of, pressing charges, snitching on us to attend the Premier League, were bullying them to get Van Dijk. So that's different. But I do feel like now we've seen success. And now, especially, champions after Premier League and Champions League with this model and with the players being signed, I personally don't think if, for example, Klopp was like, I want Mbappe, FSG will go get him. They might inquire and be like, oh, yeah, let's see what PSG is saying. Because let's be honest, every team has probably, a lot more teams than Real Madrid and Liverpool have inquired about Mbappe, of course. It might not be public, but they may have asked, even Barcelona, what's the price saying, But I don't think FSG will go all out. And if they do, they'll only do it for a player that really wants to come, not a player with options. If I'm honest, like a Sancho had this summer, or an Mbappe will have next summer. I would love them to prove me wrong, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I heard that. But again, like I said, with the system, that's why they have what they have. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not a thing whereby, okay, yeah, we couldn't get Sancho, then we're just gonna leave it in it. You look for the next, they look for the next best. It's the same with Mario Götze and not Mario Götze. Who was he supposed to get? The Salah and Julian Brandt. I'm not too sure why we didn't go for Julian Brandt anymore, but actually I do.
We did, but I think he wanted to stay in Germany.
See what I'm saying? So all these first choices.
Yeah, worked out well, didn't it?
You know what I'm saying? All of our first choices, there's a reason why they don't come. So you Julian.
No. I remember. To be fair, Mario Götze, I remember he told his agent, "Listen, don't tell me about Liverpool." But Julian Brandt, I remember, I think FSG said no. They actually, I remember it was something to do with the price being maybe it was 54 million, and then FSG was like, "Nah, just get Salah instead." He did want to stay in Germany.
No. Julian Brandt one was literally one he wanted to stay in Germany, and also I think Salah's statistics were strikingly high, and it was always going up. So it was which of the two you want to get? But I hear what you're saying about FSG, in regards of paying the premium. They might not pay the premium for every player, but that player they do pay the premium for. Your Van Dijks, your Alissons. They need to see that. Yeah, if we get him, it's certified.
Yeah. And also, this goes back to last season. Remember when you guys were trying to flex on, the prices that we got Shimikas for? Little things like getting Max Aarons. Do you know how much I personally think our season could have turned out if we had Max Aarons as a left back, a competent, Premier League English young left back who's actually would be available? Little things like that. It's why are you haggling over, even though it was a COVID market, about 4 or 5 million?
Max Aarons or Jamal Lewis?
Lamar Lewis, sorry, I've got two lighties in it. Got them confused. So Jamal Lewis. Apologies. Yeah, Jamal Lewis is like really. So yeah, man. FSG they've got a big summer ahead of them. Like I'm still holding out judgment before I fully let into them. Because God knows I'm ready, because I felt like they get a lot of credit and a lot of leeway. So we'll have to see what goes on this summer before I left the skeng.
So I think we're in a really weird situation as a football club, because just use us three as a consensus. We can all agree that this squad needs some investment. Yeah, in pretty much all departments in terms of starters and bench. Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
Liverpool have 7 midfielders. So Liverpool have 7 midfielders on the books at the moment. And I think we can all kind of safely say, in a perfect world, we're getting 2 midfielders.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I'd get into. I think if the opportunity arises where you could bring in 2, I'd bring in 2. And the 2 personally for me, I'd bring in would be Gravenberch from Ajax and Neuhaus from Mönchengladbach, just because I think for the age that Gravenberch is, and I think he's going to develop into a fantastic footballer as well. And then Neuhaus kind of allows you to kind of change up the way you want to set up from your midfield, really, and gives you that increased GA output.
As crazy as this is, I don't want to see more than one midfielder come into the team. I kind of want to see Klopp use Ox. This is going to sound nuts, but Ox and Kate are more. Like I really
on the Ox. You know what? On the Ox thing, I completely agree.
Because
it's weird. It's weird how we're screaming out for a goal scorer in midfield when we've got one at the club, albeit injuries have decimated him to the point where we overlook him.
Yeah, I don't think to be honest, I think Ox, as much as like he frustrates me when he comes on, I think he's kind of had a bad rap, man. Like he's a footballer coming off big injuries. Like he needs a run of games. I don't think he's getting that. So and this is only a big, and Kate is only if I could, I would flog that youth for 15 million, bruv, back to Leipzig. But if he's going to stay, I would like to see him get more of a chance. I think our mainstay midfield next season is going to be Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, but Henderson is also, getting along as well, so he's carrying some knock. So I want to see like the Henderson and Thiago's alternate between Jones, Keita, and if Keita's fucking available, and Ox more next season, because I think and if we get another midfielder, that'd be great. I personally want more of a DM backup for Fabinho, because I feel like Henderson's legs are a bit gone to be playing the number 6, to be playing the number 6 role. Thiago, I don't really like him there in the Premier League, and who else is there for us? So I'm more opposed. I'm more akin to getting a DM, because man, we need someone to back up Fabinho when he's not going to be there.
Els, before you jump in, I'll kind of quickly put to you as well. Midfield, current moment of time. You look at it; it's quite an injury-prone midfield. The captain picks up a fair amount of injuries every season. As much as we do love him, and he's a fantastic captain, and he's also a fantastic footballer. Fuck whatever football Twitter wants to say. We've been telling you for God knows how long, but you wanting to, kiki off of World Cup 2018 highlights because you're a bunch of losers. We've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, of course, who just hasn't been on full fitness, and it is tragic for the past kind of 2 years now. You've got Naby, the less said the better. We all know the situation there. And you've got Fabinho, who also is no stranger to having a knock. Do you think, when you're seeing things come out as well, that Liverpool aren't looking to invest in a midfielder this summer, do you just look at that and think, hang on a minute, I know the games they're trying to be played here, but the message this is sending out is just beyond stupid?
It is stupid. It is stupid. That's why I don't believe that, because it would be absolutely insane to go into next season with a situation akin to the centre-back situation. Absolutely insane. Like,
do you think that? You think that's the same thing though? Like, I feel like we have enough.
Nah, man. Because if you're saying that Ox and Keita never play, so that's 2. So now you've got 5.
But then Ox and K, it's not that Ox and K don't play. It's just that they're always on the bench and Klopp doesn't use them. Like they've got a lot of games on the bench.
Brother, they're always injured. Let's keep it a buck. They spend more time in the treatment table than they do on the bench. And if I was a manager, would I trust their body to give me 25 minutes? You got to think about these things, fam. Can I trust Cater to? He's got to do a couple shuttle runs. Can I trust him to do it? So I think Klopp is looking at that. Like, I don't know how his body's going to react. So now, if you take those two where you got 5, then you've got 2 midfielders who are over 30. Are they going to play every week? So I think it'll be mental not to, get a couple of midfielders, man.
Fair. You make good points. I didn't realize the extent that Ox and K can't actually function in our team sometimes. Like you give them one night, you give them 190 minute and 170 or 80 minutes, and it's just abysmal, bruv. Like, but I just want to see them get a run of games. That's it, man. Like I want to see them get a run of games before I judge, because I feel like it's hard to just come in, especially in the Liverpool team that was struggling last season as well, and make an impact. Yeah, man. But maybe not Ox, not so much Ox, but Cater's got to do better, man. Ox, I can at least see, he wants to play. He's at least a lot more available, but I don't think Klopp just wants to start him in games. But Cater's just got to do better, man. Like, got to do better next season for sure.
I think the manager quietly likes Ox more than
Cater. Yeah,
we think. I think he genuinely thinks he's a really important midfield piece. Now, is that out of blind loyalty that he does have to the players, and how he wants to bring them all in on the journey, which I also think is a massive factor in why some of the players are quite content to stay at the club. We'll shift the conversation now into kind of outgoings, but we'll come back to incomings a little bit later on. When you read stuff that comes out about Divock Origi, and we can all agree, Divock Origi, fantastic fella. You look what he's done with the scholarship at the Liverpool University, and just his all round demeanour, and he seems like a sound fella. To be fair, looks like you could sit down and have a conversation with him about Nietzsche or something, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm up for that." But when it comes to the actual football matters of things, I think we can kind of agree that his time at Liverpool has kind of come to a natural end. So when you do read things that say that he's content to stay at the club and not go away somewhere else and fight for a place, that kind of rings some alarm bells to me. That I know that he likes, and I know that the manager loves to kind of say that we're all in this on the journey, we're all in this on together. But some of the guys who have been on this journey have reached the natural end of their journey. And I'll come to you on this. Do you think some of our attachments to these players, and I think more importantly, the unwillingness to part with these players for less than what we perceive as optimal value, is hindering us more than anything in terms of the transfer market at the moment, especially going back to last summer as well?
Most definitely, bro, because I think we had a discussion, and I've made it a point. Obviously, we all made it a point. I know you specifically, Krish. You said that we should get a centre back. Reasons being, we couldn't afford a centre back because we didn't accept the bids from who bid for.
So it was Burnley offered 11 million for Harry Wilson.
We wanted 15.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
But if you look on the flip side now,
you're probably going to get your 15.
For this summer, you'd probably take 11. You take 11 million for Harry Wilson now, innit? Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it did hinder us because the little change that we could have got to get a centre back, I know we was talking to Kabak in the summer. We missed it. And then obviously our season unraveled. So that perceived loyalty as well, the attachment. I think sometimes you just need to be a bit ruthless. People like Divock Origi, we was open to selling him last season. He said he wanted to stay and fight. He didn't really prove anyone right. He didn't really rip up any trees. So you've got to look to cash in. I know I also saw reports saying that the likes of Shaq and Origi, they won't be pushed out. Fam, what kind of atmosphere are you building at the club? Come on, man. These players need to be pushed out. These players need to be sold.
And one of the things we are seeing recently is I think the Liverpool are realizing the players are kind of coming to, and as harsh as it sounds, we look at Nat Phillips. His value at this current moment of time will never be as high as it is anywhere else. So if you get 50 million for Nat Phillips now, you take it because you're never going to get that. And that is nothing disparaging against Nat Phillips. He came in and he performed fantastically for last season, but you'll just never get that optimum value. And again, the same for Neco Williams. As much we kind of like to go on about him. If someone offers you £9 million for him now, you take it because you're never going to get better than that. And it boggles my mind, especially for Shaqiri. There's been so many offers for Shaqiri to leave the football club, and granted, he's had a very good Euros, few goals, few assists. Yes, he was panting heavily like a dog in certain aspects, and then got brought off for like 80 minutes when he was the captain. But some clubs will look at that and they'll be like, "Cool, he can perform on a big stage, leadership qualities. Let's bring him in." Again, his value after that will never be as high as it is now.
And also, fam, he's not a like in a lower team. He wouldn't be a bad player. Like he would definitely be someone there. Like if you could give him 30 games in a season, he could be like your top 2-3 performers in like a mid-table club. Like he's not.
But look at what's at Stoke.
Yeah, like as much as we like want him to go and stuff like that, it's like, fam, just even for yourself, Shaqiri, like, bruv, you've had such a great, you've got such a great trophy cabinet. Just cash out. Like Liverpool as well, just cash out, go, I don't know, like Ajax or somewhere, and just ball out for like 30 games. You've got a great CV, you're like reaching your 30s. Just go, bruv. But yeah, man, we also need to just take what we can, bruv, when bids come in, man, because I feel like we've hit the belly a few times, with guys like, who's the goalkeeper that we sold? You see, I don't even remember him.
Grabara.
No. The one that we sold to Huddersfield, like Danny Ward. We got like how much we get from him? 18 mil. Brewster 23 mil. Like we've kind of hit the belly with certain players that we was able to sell. But come on, man, like this is a different market, and and the jig is up. Like start selling guys at their value, not like finessing teams. Because we need to raise funds, since FSG are not the type of owners to go reach into their own pocket and bring us a signing.
Yeah, it's just odd. It's just really odd, especially when you see. I think what makes it worse is you kind of get that keeping up with the Joneses aspect of things, especially when it comes to transfers and whatnot. You see. The report you see obviously United signing Sancho and then possibly being linked to Varane and then Camavinga off the back of it as well. You see Manchester City, cool, they're going to go out, try and get Kane, they're going to try and get Jack Grealish. You see Chelsea, they're going to try and go all out for Haaland, and you see us kind of sitting there and it's like, okay, well, we're trying to get £50 million for Marco Grujic. Let's go. And it's very, very underwhelming, and it gives you that inadequacy syndrome, because we all know that Liverpool is a fucking fantastic football club, and you don't even have to sell it you don't have to be as desperate as Arsenal are at the moment. I'm just going to get that jab in there anyway, just because it's funny,
What's up? Calls are getting aired, bruv. What's up? Calls are getting aired, bruv. Like, nah, man. Don't worry about that. But yeah,
Locatelli, more like lock it off. Jesus. But it's just because we know. I'll use Grealish as an example. Grealish being on the market, we should just be in the conversation there. We should be like, okay, cool. Oh, fuck off for Grealish. 100%. The source alone is working.
Let's. I know we want FSG to make signs, but let's be sensible, bro. Like Grealish is not. I'm not saying he's not Liverpool material, but
bang.
Man. For the price,
it'll go off.
For the price we'll pay at his age, and I don't see Grealish.
He will be a guy
He will be a guy because he's a baller, but nah, man, our intensity is too high for Grealish, bro. I'm sorry, man.
He'll be alright.
It'll be good, man. It'd be good. He'd learn. Yeah, I think it's just underwhelming, especially when you see we look at mid. I'll go back to midfielders as well. Nicola Barella is someone that I like a lot, and I think the Euros has also solidified that. I mean, you saw him play this evening. That guy will. He never stops running. He's fast as fuck.
Yeah.
He will never stop. You know what I mean? He's like little baby. I ain't never gonna stop.
I think a big problem with especially this window as well is that it's kind of the summer of opportunity. Like there's so many teams that are broke. Like you can literally go walk into Barcelona and be like, listen, I will give you 18 mil for Coutinho. Obviously, we're not going to get him, but I'm saying like this is what's going on. Oh, we can go to Barcelona and be like, yeah, I'll give you, if you really wanted to, like like something like 30 mil for Dembele. You can go to Juventus.
They bite you. They bite your hand off. If you went and said, okay, cool, we'll give you 30 million for Griezmann, they bite your hand off for it.
Exactly. Like you can go to Borussia Dortmund, get Sancho for on a Klarna plan. You can go to Sassuolo and get Locatelli for God knows how much. Like Barella, like teams around Europe are willing to spend. Still willing to sell for it, and the fact that even though the Premier League has taken a hit with the fan revenue, we're still good because of TV rights, and we've got money to spend. Like we're balling out here. Like top six, we've got not balling, but compared to the rest where the market is, we've got money to spend. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of throw our weight around in the transfer market, especially with teams being down so bad. But hey, man, will we do it? Lord knows.
And that's the weirdest thing as well. Now, as I come to you on this, you look at the model that we operate on. It's all about kind of looking for opportunity. It's all about looking for anomalies within the market. Surely, with teams, look at League One specifically. With teams struggling for revenues, clubs potentially going bust. Again, Inter Milan's the same one. Their parent company has just got no money whatsoever, and they're having to sell players to kind of balance the books. Yeah, surely this should be kind of the one for FSG to look at and say, okay, cool. There's going to be a lot of good players potentially on the market, and we can get for less than their perceived worth. We'll just improve the squad this way.
Yeah, there is. This is probably the most perfect market if you ever get that. It is probably this one with so many teams in disarray. Again, like you said, the French league haven't got anything. When you go to Italy, some of these teams are willing to stay afloat. I don't know, man. I'll just give it time because last year I think we had the same thing where when did we sign Jota and Thiago? It was towards the end.
Second, but last week.
Yes, you see what I'm saying. So obviously, it's Liverpool's detriment. If you wait too long, you might miss out on certain targets. We do want everything done and sorted on as soon as possible. But I feel that they're just waiting for the market to actually kick up because one big signing works as a catalyst for all the other signings. So maybe they're just waiting, seeing how the market works. But you just want to get it done, get some big boy signings, man. You know what I'm saying?
You just want to get it done and out the way for when.
Yeah.
When when they go into that, rocky montage training camp mode, when they go to like Evian and whatnot, it's all just done and dusted. They can kind of, get to start working on the shape for whatever it might be for the season and make sure that no one's missing out. I saw a tweet earlier on, I think it might have been yesterday. Rate this window out of 10. And the players were Konate, of course, who's already been brought into the club. And I think we do forget that. We forget that sometimes that we've signed Konate, and it's a really good.
Bundesliga tax. That's what I'm going to say. Bundesliga tax.
Behave. Yeah, the guy's good, man.
I would hope so. I'm not saying.
I'm adding the
Nah, man. Apart from Thiago, I can't lie. When these youths come from Bundesliga, I ain't saying nothing, bruv. I'm keeping quiet, fam. I've seen too many men come to the Prem. I'm staying quiet in it. Like, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's good. Man, just waiting in it. Like, give me 30 games in the season, and I'll see where I go on after that. Because the tax has been mad.
I'm reserving my judgment until all the facts come out. Which is fair. It was obviously rate this window out of 10, and the players were Ibrahim Konate, Renato Sanchez. I'll touch on that in a bit. and young Belgian attacker Jeremy Doku.
6.
I looked at. You're being generous. I said 3.
Oh yeah, good. I'm glad we're on the same page. Yeah, that's not.
Els, what would you give that out of 10?
Yeah, I was gonna give it a solid 6.
That is the
You're
kind
being
of
too
win.
fucking generous, man.
That is the kind. You know.
I like
That is
Sanchez.
You know what? I'll give it a 6 because we got Konate. We got Konate done early, very early. Like we addressed something like we wanted to address very early. Like
it's almost like we knew that we couldn't get a centre back that we wanted in January and boxed it off, almost like it was boxed off in March.
Yeah. I genuinely think like that type of window is the quintessential window to piss me off, because you know why it will piss me off? Those players will probably turn out to be sick if used by Klopp. Like honestly, that's why it will piss me off, and it'll be one of those things where because they, like, you know, Klopp was able to train them and coach them into being a God knows what type of player, it gives them more vindication to do it again and again and again. And it's like, fam, like I get it. I'm all for this diamond in the rough stuff. Like I'm all for it. I really am. And I'm happy that, you know, we was able to, you know, get success with minimal spending. But there comes a time where marquee signings need to be made when you're at a level. And I think we can't just be relying on, you know, Klopp getting the diamonds out of the rough. So, nah, man, 6 out of 10 window for me.
Yeah, but we say that, we always ask for marquee signings, but how many marquee players are out there though?
There's marquee players if you apply pressure.
Like who?
I think it depends on what your definition of marquee is.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Not superstar, but a signing, like, you know, an established household name, which will come into our side and immediately improve the quality of the team without a shadow of a doubt. That's what I would
like.
Like
would you call
Thiago was a marquee signing? If for example, if we went for, let's hope and pray, Mbappe, superstar signing, of course. If we go for him, even someone like in my opinion, a Dybala. If we was to get him, not saying that we actually want him, but if we was to get someone like him, that's a marquee signing. We're already up. Like getting a Jeremy Doku and, you know, getting a Sanchez, Konate, to be fair, good, but getting those two players, they're not really. There's still doubts on if they would immediately improve the team, and that's kind of what we want for now.
They wouldn't, by the way. For me,
I hear you.
Yeah, that's why I gave it 3 out of 10.
We're being asked on Sanchez.
Oh,
man.
Fuck off! I'm not being asked.
Behave, Krish, man. Behave, bro. Behave, man.
Sanchez.
So you're telling me no else will be better than Sanchez?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Or a Barella would be a great.
Barella.
That's a marquee.
I think Barella would be fucking.
That's a marquee.
You see that first half I saw from Italy? I'm putting Serie A tax on all of them. I don't trust no one from Italy. Actually, I'm putting Aquilani tax. We're gonna name the tax. We're gonna call it Aquilani.
You know what? Let's do that going forward. Yeah, Bundesliga tax is called Cater tax. Serie A tax is called Aquilani tax. And we'll call La Liga tax Luis Alberto tax because, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
I already called League and tax Omelette du fromage tax. So, I mean, that's already in the bag. But no, it's for me, it's the quintessential thing of you've seen these players play for 3 games in this national tournament and you're thinking, oh, yeah, cool. I can see what they could do for Anfield. We've literally just let a guy leave on a free who's the epitome of that for the Netherlands.
That's true.
So it's and the Doku thing I think is incredibly interesting because there's so many good elements of football player there. You know, he's got speed. He can beat people off the dribble. He's a very exciting footballer, but he is genuinely a year away from being He's a year away from being a year ready for playing for Liverpool.
One thing I don't like about international tournaments here is that it gives people the idea that they know players that they don't. It's okay to not know like how good Malin is. It's okay to say that you've never watched Gravenberch play. But the way that I see Liverpool fans like on the timeline like swear that this is the guy that's going to bring us forward. It's like, man, you don't lie to yourself. You've never seen these guys play, and if you have seen them play, they're not playing in a league where you're gonna, or at a level you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, this is the guy that's gonna take us forward. Like, let's be serious. Like, we can't be going for these diamond in the rough guys because it sounds nice and Klopp can probably build them to be in a success, and that can be a success story. Like, come on, man. Like, none of you have seen, outside of this tournament, I can guarantee 99% of Liverpool fans did not see Gravenberch, Malin, or one game of Gravenberch, Malin, or Doku play. I can put my life on it. But they will swear that, this is who we need. Like, come on, man. Let's be serious, bruv. Like, we get them. If we don't.
Don't put your life on the Gravenberch one, because obviously he played in the game against us, didn't he? In the Champions League. He played in the Anfield game.
I can on my life, I can guarantee you, no Liverpool fan cared.
No one remembered him.
No one cared. No one remembered him.
Yeah, no one.
So yeah, like, let's not act like we've been watching these guys under a microscope to be saying, oh, this is what they can bring to the club. Like, nah. Like, let's be real. It's not that, man. Like, you're just forcing it because this is what we've been forced to accept under FSG.
That's the epitome of the Sanchez thing for me. Like, I don't get it. He wasn't even that impactful for Lille last year.
Who Sanchez? Yeah, man. Like, I feel like we saw a couple of wavy videos, and Lille won the league, innit? They won the league. Yeah,
because a 39-year-old Yilmaz led them to the title, and then we saw him play against actual opposition.
We got to be excited,
and he crumbled.
Videos, a couple videos with the man in the changing room, and like, he played fairly well for Portugal in Euros, and like we just want a young wavy. Like, he might be good though. I can't lie. I feel like he gets a bad rap for his time at Swansea, because come on, like, who the fuck wants to, like, you're playing in Munich and then you're getting told go well, son, and perform. Like, that's a bit long.
Yeah, I think for me, Renato just has Wolves written all over it. Portuguese. It just makes the most sense for everyone involved. Also, gotta say, that Trincao signing for Wolves on loan is very indicative of why.
Can you tell us? You're from Birmingham, yeah? Is Wolves run by the Portuguese mafia? Or you're not allowed to be? No, honestly, because honestly, like, the way they've got the connect for the Portuguese, like, food, it's mad.
It's all getting Mendes.
It's nuts.
It's Mendes, isn't it? Mendes is running it.
It's Mendes, because they brought because that guy who plays for Sport in Lisbon, who replaced Bruno. Bruno did that Pedro Goncalves.
Yeah,
he played for Wolves.
Oh, really?
He played for Wolves and he was shit. So it's just weird.
Are Wolves backed by a Chinese investor?
They are indeed. I think it's Fosun International.
So they must have links with George Mendes, because he's using it like some training center, fam.
He's using it like Cunch, bruv.
Yeah, basically,
he's like, get the Portuguese youngers through. Like, fam.
That's not even a joke, man. It's an odd one, because the one player you would have thought would have had their move from Wolves at this current moment of time is Ruben Neves, and for some reason no one wants him.
He's not that good. He's not that good, man.
It's true. When Moutinho is clearly outplaying you, and Moutinho is 34 years old.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed since he's come to the Premier. He's not bad. He's not a horrible player, but he's not.
Yeah, well, he's not like
he's not the player that we thought he would be coming into the Prem. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, when he first come to obviously he was at the Championship, then he come to the Prem. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that.
I will say for Neves, his first season in the Premier League, he balled, and he wasn't fantastic. He wasn't. He wasn't elite, but he balled. Yeah. But then I don't know what happened. I think it was just more. I think it was more Nuno more than anything. So it'll be interesting to see if he does stay under this manager. If he kind of develops his game. But I think the one thing he does lack is a little bit of mobility, especially playing as a six. That's the only thing.
How old is he?
Quietly 24. He's not that old.
You know, I'll give him the benefit, because especially in the DM role, you need proper experience to be in that role. And I feel like when he gets a bit older, that role and what he does will become very underappreciated, because he'll be the cooler head in the team. Because being a DM from 20 years old at a professional level, you'll learn your experience. So I'll give him some time. I think he's not going to peak until about 26, 28. And that's when we'll really be like, all right, cool, yeah, this guy is levels wins once he gets it together in a hopefully better team. But now for now,
100%. Yeah, I think he's a fascinating player, in all honesty, because he was built as the next big thing when he was younger, but just nothing seems to have kind of kicked on from there. Before we end the pod, I want you to kind of outline what your ideal transfer window would be. If you want to give names for who would be signed, do go for it. Julian, I'll let you go first.
I want Basuma. I want another DM. I would like another right back.
Anyone in mind for that, by the way? Because I always find it really fascinating when we say the right. Because I think we can all agree that right back cover, if Neko were to leave, would be a priority.
Right back. I've got to be honest. I don't have many names in mind. I can't lie. Apart from the transfer game, I'm not going to be one of them guys that's like, I want this guy, I want this guy. I don't have many names in mind, to be honest. Maybe Mukiele, because again he's Congolese, and I want him to. Yeah, and I'm biased, but I don't. I've got to be honest. I don't have any names. And I would like us to inquire about Mbappe. I've got to be honest. I personally think we've been hoarding money for too long, and we have the funds there if we apply pressure. As I said, if Liverpool make it clear the way Man United have made it clear that they wanted Sancho, I believe Mbappe can force a move and in turn bring the price down as well. We can tell. I'm sure we can tell Mbappe, listen, you can earn 230 bags, put you on the craziest bonuses, sign in for about 110, 120 mil because what's it called? He's going to drive down the price from whatever ridiculous fee it would be normally because he's on the last year of his contract, and get him in, man. Get him in, or just inquire about it. But if not, Rafinha will be nice as well.
I like it. Else?
Boy, I don't have any names anymore, But
Go positions. Go on.
Yeah, positions. I would like a centre midfielder, a new centre midfielder, and 2 forwards. I need a 1v1 demon, and I need a number 9. I think if
the 1v1 thing I find really interesting because of the Kingsley Coman link. It feels that generally feels like it's agent talk to try and get him a new deal.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
But it also feels like direct Shaqiri replacement.
In all honesty, a number 9 is too hard to come by these days, man. There's not enough shooters out there.
Yeah,
there's not
difficult.
Enough. It's not
as we've literally just seen with Alvaro Morata this evening. Jesus Christ!
Literally, remember in the mid 2000s, there was there were too many shooters, bruv. That era where we had Torres, Rooney, Drogba, and Adebayo in the same league, bruv. Too many shooters. But now, the art of being a number 9 is dying slowly.
There's not even an option where you can kind of look at it and say you can go and get a Darren Bent.
Yeah, even that.
Not even like a Robbie Keane when we try to do a team. Not even like someone like that, bruv. There's literally no number 9s about, man. You got to take a punt on someone like Maiden and hope for the best that he can come through for you in the future.
Someone I do. Yeah, exactly, man. Someone I do like is a Morpay, but he don't score enough goals, so that's just out of the window.
Yeah,
he also runs really weird as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
he runs like this.
Run.
Tidy player though, technically tidy.
Yeah, very
technically tidy. Just can't put the ball in the back of the net. That's just Brighton to a T. Yeah. I think for me, I'd like another right back. Names I can't give you any because I don't particularly know any right backs. In honesty,
I don't either. If I was being a cheeky cunt, I'll say get me a Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Just go ask and be like, yo, come man, just come. But nah, I honestly can't think. On some that are available, there's not many out there, to be honest. Where does Spinazzola play? Left wing back, innit?
Left back, but he's popped his Achilles, hasn't he?
Yeah, let that recover. I don't mind.
9 months. a 9-run recovery. I'd ideally want 2 central midfielders just because we discussed earlier. I just think there's injury problems just guaranteed. And as it is, I think central midfield is the one position in football where there's the majority of the injuries as they're doing the majority of the legwork. So I would like 2 midfielders. I'd love Barella. I'd absolutely love Barella to be at Liverpool, but it ain't going to happen because he is the poster boy of Italian football at the moment. So it's just not going to be that way. So if we can get Neuhaus in and Gravenberch, I'd be happy with that because you're getting a 19-year-old who has the future in front of him, and you're getting a very creative midfielder who's press resistant and kind of gives you a little bit more in terms of the creative aspects than Ginny would. And I'd like a number 9 again. From what we discussed, I think it's very difficult to kind of say what number 9 that will be, as there isn't that many at the moment. You kind of look at the scraps. I said the scraps. The 2 people who we've been linked to closely are Marlon and loosely Vlahovic, but it just doesn't seem there's anything going on there at the moment. And I would like an impact player to kind of come off the bench to replace Shaqiri with. In all honesty, kind of looking at some of the guys from the Euros and the mold they play. I think Lorenzo Pellegrini, who've been linked to from Roma, will be really good. He offers you a little bit more kind of playing as number 10 and playing a little bit out wide as well. And you look at kind of someone like Mikael Damsgaard, I think would be really good as well. But
I know it's supposed to end this, but what would you say about Harvey Elliott coming up being an impact sub next season, like Curtis Jones was in the previous season before the last?
Els?
I'm having it, man. I'm having it as well.
I'm not against it.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm having it is because I've seen Greenwood come on ball and Greenwood playing a lot of minutes.
Facts. Like, I also think what I love about Harvey Elliott, he has that Grealish about him. Remember when Grealish was a teenager and he just coming and stomping on Gerrard's head, bruv? Like he has that like fuck it, like I'm young, but you can't chat to me about him. Like and he's shown that at Blackburn as well by being like the player of the season and stuff like that. So yeah, man, like I think he like this with young players. You like, for example, Ben Woodburn, you can kind of see like they need a bit of time to adapt, go to a different team, get their experience up. But Javier looks like he's ready now. Like he wants it.
Yeah, I think Elliott makes a lot more sense as well if you play 4-2-3-1.
Yeah,
right. He can kind of come in off that right, or he can play a little bit centrally. And ideally, you probably want him to go out on loan again. If he wasn't going to get the game time, but I'd keep him. If you put him somewhere like Norwich, for example, I think you do quite well there. But I'd personally keep him to see how he gets on in preseason and whatnot. But yeah, listeners, this has been an interesting pod. I think we've kind of aired all the grievances that we've seen in recent days in terms of transfer policy and how Liverpool operate in general. If you do like what you have heard, even though it's not been the most positive thing to discuss this week, do please subscribe to the Kop End Fracas Patreon page. Just from as little as £3 a month, you'll get access to a wealth. And I mean a wealth. It is a wealth. There's over 100 pieces of content there at the moment. 2 guaranteed pieces of content per week. We've got a hell of a lot of stuff coming up. And if Liverpool do make transfers, that'll be the first place where you'll get the breakdown of it. We did a lot last year and in the winter in regards to Thiago, Jota and Kabak when they came in. Good tactical breakdowns and reactions to that. But yeah, it's never been a more exciting time to be a Patreon member. So again, from just as £3 a month, if you head over to www.patreon.com/Kop End Fracas and subscribe today. You'll make us all very happy and you'll make yourself very happy as well. But that has been your episode of Kop End Fracas for what is now Wednesday, the 7th of July. So we're actually releasing this as it's been recorded. And I have been your host, Krish. I've been joined by Ellis and Julian. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Audience, thank you very much for listening. We will see you next week. Take care.